Hey, Ray Del Vecchio here from websiteprofitcourse.com. Today we're going to customize the WordPress header, and this is a bit of an advanced tutorial because we're going to do this with HTML and CSS. It's completely custom. And the reason I'm showing you this is because this is what I do for many of my client websites. The header on a lot of WordPress themes is more oriented for blogging. All you have here is a navigation bar and a search bar. Local business websites don't really need search. They're generally 5 or 10 pages. And what you really want is a call to action. So that's what we're going to add. So let's jump into the WordPress admin area and we'll get started. So really the first thing you need to do is find the theme file that outputs that header. So we're going to go into Appearance Theme Editor. You can see that I have a child theme installed, 2020 Blogger. This is a child theme of the 2020 theme. So that's the first thing you want to do. If you don't have a child theme, you definitely want to create one for your theme. And then you want to copy over from the parent theme the header file, whatever is generating that header. So in this case, it's header.php. If you have the plugin Child Theme Configurator installed, you can go into that and copy right from this plugin page, go over to the Files tab, and you want to click on header.php. Again, this is going to depend on your theme, and you just got to select Copy Selected File to the child theme. I already did this because I installed Google Analytics to this header.php file. So we're going to go back into the theme editor and open up this header.php, and we'll see all the code that generates the header. And this is where you're going to be able to identify the output of your header on the front end, and you kind of need to go into Chrome Inspector and figure out what is generating that. And I know that it's this header section here, and they highlight that so we can scroll down and see this is where the header section ends, and then this is the modal menu for the mobile menu. So we're basically just going to completely replace this and do it with a custom CSS and HTML header. Now the first thing I'm going to do is, instead of actually getting rid of this code, all I'm going to do is within this header section add style display none, and that's going to hide this from us. So without deleting this code, which you want to do at the end once you get everything working, this is just an easy way to revert if you need to. Just remove this and you'll be good to go. But right now, if we add this little tag, style display none, this inline CSS is going to hide it. Let's update that file and refresh, and you should see that our header is going to be gone. Now the next step is adding the custom code. We're going to do this with FileZilla, an FTP program, and this is what you would want to use if you want to manually copy over that header.php file. But right now I have these 3 files, includes.php, which that's just one line of code I'm going to copy and paste into the template file. I got the CSS code done here, which I'm going to paste into the Appearance Customizer, and then I got the custom header.php file, which we're actually going to upload. So let's jump into our child theme folder, go to WP Content, Themes, and 2020 Blogger. And these are all the files that we just saw from the Appearance Theme Editor section. I'm going to add one new folder, and it's just called Includes. And this is generally how a lot of software is added to plugins or themes. You just have an Includes folder and you put your custom code within that. So we'll create a directory called Includes. And we're going to upload our custom header.php to that, which I will open that up in Notepad and show you in a second here. Let me open up these 2 files, the custom header and the includes. And let me pull Notepad++ into this window. And so this is the one line of code that we have to add to our template file. And this just separates the custom code we're going to add into a separate file so we don't have to worry about writing code within that WordPress window. So since we're replacing this header, all I'm going to do is paste that one line of code to include our custom header right on top of that. And we can update our file, and just the description of this line, all we're doing is including that file, and we generate the path to that file by using this WordPress function getStyleSheet directory. So this is going to get the path to the active theme, and then we append that includes folder and the custom header.php, which is the file name that we just uploaded. So let's go to our front end and see it, and we should have our custom header, but it's going to look a little funky because we don't have any styles in there. And you can see here I have a click to call button, I got the phone number, I got a fake logo here, and then we have our menu, which is just a bulleted list. If you want to download the code that we're using in this tutorial and test it out for yourself, I'll include a link in the description below. Let's take a look at the code. So let me pop over to custom header.php, and here it is. So that click to call section, I use that as a sticky call to action that appears at the bottom of the page only on a mobile menu. So that's just one single div here, and we have the href, the anchor element, linking to the phone number. You can do that using this tail colon with the country code and the phone number. And then here's our header section. I just assign it a class biz, since this is a business header. We have our logo, which is linked to the home page, and I just remove the protocol at the beginning of it, the HTTPS. And then our logo, all you got to do is upload it to the media library on WordPress and grab your URL. Then we have our call to action section. We have a tagline, just call or email us. We have another link to our phone number. I assign it the class phone number, and that way within Google Analytics or Google Tag Manager, you can track when people click that phone number. That's a good indicator of whether you're bringing leads to that business. And if you are, you can report that back to your clients. They're way more likely to understand the value of the website and pay for your monthly services. Then we got this info section, and I just have a fake license number here. That's also something that most of my clients have on their website since they're contractors. And then here is the menu. So this code I grabbed from either Stack Overflow or CodePen, something like that. And I messed around with it in order to get it to work with WordPress, and I edited the CSS as well to have it match this website. So that's the only caveat with this. You're probably going to need to debug or adjust some of this code to match the theme, so you do need a little bit of HTML knowledge if you want to use this or implement this kind of thing. But really the way this works with pure CSS is there's this input element, which this is hidden once we paste in that CSS. If I jump back over here, you can see that's what this is. It's a checkbox. And this is what hides or shows the mobile menu. And we can use CSS to see if this input is checked or not to adjust the styles for the mobile menu. The way that we import our menu, instead of hard coding this, you want to just use the menu within WordPress. So we use this function here, WP nav menu. With our default settings, this is this variable defaults, and we set container to false. This just removes a container div element to that menu, so it's a little bit cleaner. And then this is where we select the menu within WordPress that we want to use. So I'm using the main nav menu. So if I go back over to WordPress here, to my dashboard, and we go to appearance menus, you can see that this is the main nav menu. You just got to put in that menu name, whatever it is, copy and paste that into your code, and that'll output that menu over here. So that's all there is to the HTML side. So now I'm going to copy and paste the CSS so you can see what this looks like. Let's head over to the appearance customize section, and that's where we can add our custom CSS under this additional CSS option. And you can see I already have some CSS in here. I actually had a tutorial where I showed you how to use CSS and styled this main menu, which doesn't exist now. But all I'm going to do is paste in my code to the bottom here. Let me pull up Notepad++ with my code, and you can see this is a little bit more complicated. And like I said, this mobile menu code, I got a lot of this from a third-party website, Stack Overflow or CodePen, one of those two. And it might actually have been some combination of the two, and I adjusted some of this myself. Let me copy that, and you'll see this just live update once I paste it in. So this is just a full width bar menu. I have these elements centered. I adjust the font so they look a little bit nicer. And then let's adjust the size so we drop down here. So if we go down to tablet size, that's going to both bring up our click to call menu at the bottom, which like I said, it sticks to the bottom. And we have our mobile menu here. When we click it, it's going to drop down that same menu. And this little mobile icon also has a nice little transition. And that's something that I definitely copied and pasted. I did not do that myself. As long as you know what you're looking for, you can generally find the code that you need out there somewhere to customize. It might take a little bit of time, but this is how I learned everything with custom code. I didn't take any courses. I did everything just bits and pieces trying to implement different functions on my WordPress website. So if we step through this really quickly, and let's take a quick look at the mobile size. The main thing is you just want to make sure that the call to action is front and center for these websites. You don't want to make it difficult for people to contact a local business. So let's jump back to the desktop size, and I'll quickly go through this. I'm not going to go through every single line here, but we have our header section here targeting that biz class just in case there is another header element. I don't know if with HTML if you can only have one header element. I'm assuming that might be the case. And I set the background to white. If I don't have this in there, you'll see what happens. it's just going to import the body color, which is that blue. And right now this is a JPEG, not a transparent PNG. If you want a little information on image file types, I put together a whole tutorial on that, which I'll link up here in the top right. And we have our text color set to black. There was a little weird pink bar with this logo, since this logo is a link, and that's why I set the text decoration to none. I have the max width of the logo set to 250 pixels. I think all mobile devices are under about 300 pixels, so that just makes it such that the logo doesn't span wider than the width of a mobile menu. And the way that we get this to center is by using this display inline block. Centering with CSS is a very complex thing. There's a lot of different ways to do it depending on your settings. I see a lot of jokes about it on Twitter from developers, how to do centering with CSS. It's like you got to apply 15 different properties. That's exactly the type of thing that you need to learn over time, because you're going to hit so many snags with little things like centering an item. It seems so easy, but again, depending on the CSS properties that you have set, it's a lot more difficult than it seems. And then once you work through 10 or 15 different problems, you'll understand how to do it. We have the vertical line middle, which is kind of like vertically centering. If I eliminate that, you'll see how it's kind of offset and doesn't look that good. For the paragraph items, I just reset the margin and the padding. We add our padding around the call to action, and if I bring up Chrome Inspector, you'll be able to see that if I hover over the element here. So we put a padding around, or actually a margin around this logo link, and we do the same thing with the call to action. Here are the font size declarations for the tagline. I got 1.4 EM, 1.9 for the phone number, and we make that bold. And then 0.9 for the info section, so it's a little bit smaller. That's the license number here. As you can see, I organized my CSS using the comments. So that was the header. This is the menu. And like I said, I'm not going to go through everything here because it's a little bit complicated. The most important one with this menu is this max height. And this is what shows and hides the mobile menu. So if I go down to the responsiveness section, which is right down here, this is targeting a max width of the browser window for 768, which is about a tablet size width. Once we jump under that value, we're on a tablet or mobile sized device, we set this max height to 0, and that's what hides it. So it's still there, it's just that element has a height of 0, so it's not showing. And the same thing here, that sticky click to call, we set that to display block when it's a mobile width, and this is all the code to style that. And we use display none so that it's not shown above a mobile width. And this is really the tricky section, this menu icon and the menu input. This is what shows you that 3-line icon and transitioned it to an X. I'm not going to do a good job explaining this, so I'm just going to omit that. You can go through the code and kind of figure it out. This is what gives it the transition. I have this content property which shows the menu text. And really the way that it's showing that icon is by setting the background to white. It's kind of just like a thin element where the background is set to white. That's kind of the best I could do explaining that. And then this is also doing some of the alignment with this top CSS property. And then the important thing here is the menu input. This is what targets our mobile menu so that we show it. So we set the checkbox to display none so we don't see any checkbox on there like we did before. And we check whether or not it's checked by using this pseudo property, I think, the colon checked, and when it is checked we set the max height so it shows. So that's really all that's happening here. It's a little bit complicated, but like I mentioned, you can copy and paste this code. You're probably about 80 to 90% of the way there, and you just got to make a couple adjustments to the colors or anything else that you want to customize. Again, I don't want you to just think about copy and pasting this line for line. I want you to think about how you can use some of these processes, like going into the theme files, figuring out what part of your website is generated by which theme file, using the built-in WordPress functions to customize. If you can kind of abstract those lessons out of this tutorial, that's going to help you out a lot more. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you learned anything here, please give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and if you'd like to see more advanced tutorials like this, let me know in the comments below. If you made it this far, I'm assuming you are more of an advanced web designer or developer, and you have the skills to work with local clients. You don't need to know custom code to build WordPress websites, but if you have that level of knowledge, you might as well make some money from it. So check out the links in the description below. You can download a free cheat sheet, 15 tools to start your web design business. That'll show you some of the ones that I use, not just for the web design part, but also for project management, other third-party services that I use to organize files and stuff like that, accounting. Normally that's the kind of thing that holds people up from freelancing. It's not the skills of knowing how to edit WordPress. That's all I got for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day.